there seems to be this prevailing assumption among, you know, the centrists, the center left, that we need a centrist Democratic nominee for the 2020 general election against Donald Trump to win. And this assumption is fatally flawed because, number one, like, we've done this before. Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump did not give us a Democratic win. Regardless of whether you say electoral college, electoral smallage, it shouldn't even have been that close. Hillary could not have beaten anything. Hillary can't beat anyone. Like, she didn't even really beat Bernie. She screwed him over. In collusion with the DNC and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and, you know, the Democratic bigwigs, they rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election. And if the same thing happens and we see a Kamala Harris nominee for 2020, or a Kirsten Gillibrand, or a Cory Booker, or an Amy Klobuchar, then we're gonna get steamrolled by Donald Trump a second time. So why is this? Well, you know, I think the where this assumption is really where it lies is with people who really don't understand politics right now. Like Barry Weiss, okay, who's a New York Times writer. It's her first warning sign. And she went on Joe Rogan and she said that Tulsi Gabbard is an Assad toady. And then she's like, did I use that word correctly? What she was saying was Tulsi Gabbard is a sycophant for the leader of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. All because Tulsi went there and met with him and said he wasn't an enemy of the United States. And then you have fucking all those stupid women on The View, okay? Whoopi Goldberg and Meghan McCain and what's her name? Jane Grace or whatever. I probably got that wrong. Whatever her name is, Jane something, right? I don't know. And Meghan McCain was like, "Oh, when I think Tulsi Gabbard, I think Assad toady." Okay, that's basically what she said again. And so there's this mainstream media notion that all because Tulsi is against war and she's a non-interventionist and she doesn't want the U.S. to meddle in all these different fucking conflicts around the globe, and that she would actually go somewhere and talk to someone and be diplomatic, they smear her as doing his bidding. Oh, you've come back with propaganda from Syria. It's such a, their tactics are always dialectical. They accuse you of what they're doing. Because who's the real propaganda? It's Meghan McCain, it's Barry Weiss, it's the mainstream media, okay? So, why do they want war in Syria? Because Syria is where the oil pipelines go through, and Russia wants those oil pipelines because Russia pipes their oil through Syria to the rest of Europe, okay? So that's a whole nother long, complicated story, but basically my point is these enraging fucking center-left idiots like Barry Weiss, okay? They completely obfuscate the whole facts, okay? They don't understand, like, the actual thing that's, like, in reality going on, all right? So they don't, to them, it's all like, I mean, I can understand, Okay, let's get back to the actual thesis of this video. I can understand if you think of politics as like, over here we have the far left, super progressive, communist, Marxist, like, college kids with yellow hair and hair dye and SJW, Centrist, authoritarian people on this side, and on the other side you have these alt-right, like Pepe the Frog, Nazi, like neo-Nazi, fascist characters who, flash the swastika and stuff like that. If you view politics as a division between those two sides, right, in this like fucking culture war or whatever, right, I can understand why you'd want a reasonable center between those two. And I'll tell you why this narrative of we need a centrist for 2020 is perpetuated by the centrists, is because to them that's what politics is. It's a culture war. It's not about policy, it's not about ideas, it's about the SJWs versus the Nazis. Oh god. Both sides are crazy. It's like, oh my god, dude. So yeah, that's the problem. The problem is these people don't know enough, and they don't think about it in the right way, okay? So, and honestly, in the worst case scenario, it's either that or they're actually bad faith actors and they're bought off by the system. But that happens way more often with elected officials than with journalists, but with journalists, they're also, you gotta analyze where their payroll is coming from and where their organization gets their funding, and you also have to just analyze, like, okay, how mainstream is this publication? Because, honestly, there is always going to be a mainstream narrative perpetuated by the media. Always. That's always going to exist, and there's always going to be alternative media on the underground to correct that, because let's be honest, our system of corporate mainstream media today is completely flawed. You turn on fucking Rachel Maddow and she's just screaming Russia all day, when the real scandal with foreign collusion is the fact that Trump was trying to sell Saudi Arabia nukes, okay? That's the real collusion. The reality does not matter to the mainstream folks, all right? That's what I'm claiming here. The reality does not matter to them. What matters to them is the narrative that they're pushing, okay? So, let's just bring everything back into focus here for a second. Sam Harris said he wanted a young Bloomberg to run. Bloomberg isn't even good on marijuana policy. Bloomberg said legalizing marijuana was the dumbest thing anyone has ever done. Bloomberg is a millionaire, I believe, and Bloomberg is, he's part of the owner class. He's part of the bourgeois. He's gonna be the guy who's like, oh, the status quo is great because I'm on top of the heap, okay? That's how these people are. That's how Howard Schitz is. That's how they are. That's how Hillary was. That's how it works, guys. So let's be honest, Sam Harris is a fucking rich kid as well, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and I don't really think he thinks too deeply about economic policy when he makes his political calculations. But let's just suggest an alternative to this losing strategy, right? Because, like, you listen to these people talk, and at least I think, like, oh yeah, why wouldn't we want to replicate a strategy that won? Because what did the Republicans do in 2016? Donald Trump came in and steamrolled all the establishment characters. Okay, that's what happened. And I don't care what Nick says. None of those people have any chance of beating him now. Jeb Bush is not going to be the 2020 Republican nominee. There's no chance Jeb Bush will ever run for anything ever again in any serious way. Donald Trump buried these people. And then Ted Cruz and Ben Carson and all the sycophantic ones, the real sycophants, fell right in line. They're like, okay, yeah. See, Donald Trump changed everything when he got elected. He changed the whole political landscape, and he changed the whole Republican Party, all right? So, in this new landscape, why would we want to replicate like a 1994 Bill Clinton like centered logical Democrat strategy? Why would you want to do that in 2020? Why? Cuz let's be honest, the Democrats want to lose. It's it's not hard to like see this. They want to lose. It's why else would they have said, oh, it's Hillary's turn, let's just push her through and destroy everything in her way, except for the monster that was right there that Hillary was incapable of defeating, right? So, it's a combination of corruption and ignorance. That's the problem in the Democratic Party right now. And that's the problem in the center of the political spectrum right now as well. But that's kind of like a sub thesis for this video. But basically, I'm here to say, yeah, no, we the left should step in and take over the Democratic Party and nominate Bernie Sanders for 2020. Okay, a real progressive, actual left-wing person who actually advocates for policies that are popular in the country, like Medicare for All polls around 70% popularity, and people want the free college, people want a living wage, people want to end the wars, people want legal weed, okay? People want these left-wing priorities. It's populist left. That's what it is. It's super serve the Democratic base. Because Donald Trump super served the Republican base. He gave them the policies that were popular on their side, and he did this other thing, which I'm not suggesting anyone on the Democratic side do, which is he talked out of both sides of his mouth the whole time, all right? So he said, oh, I'm against Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and then he said, oh, we'll bomb the shit out of them, all right? So people projected onto him exactly what they wanted to hear, and they were like, oh, he's for this, because I heard him say this, even though he said something that contradicted what they're saying he said at a different date. So it's I'm not suggesting we replicate the Donald Trump strategy in its entirety. I'm saying, why the fuck wouldn't you want to replicate a strategy that won them the election? Why? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Okay? So basically, like, what I'm saying here is all these people like Sam Harris and Barry Weiss and The View, all these people, and Joe Rogan when he agrees with them, all these people basically are okay with the Democrats failing in 2020 because that's what they want to happen, because they don't know that what they're proposing will lead to a Democratic failure yet again. So basically, support the progressive agenda is what I'm saying. Don't be afraid to be labeled by the mainstream characters as extreme. Don't acquiesce to their framing of the debate, okay? Because let's be honest, internationally, Bernie Sanders' social democratic ideas are not extreme. They're moderate on the international scale. People forget that, like, there's actual socialist countries that exist. And Bernie's not that left-wing as them. He's not a socialist. He's not a collectivist. He's a social democrat. He wants a robust welfare state. He wants a new form of economic analysis. He wants basically like to cut the trickle down and start going from the bottom up, right? Like it's just simple, like let's be left wing for once. Excuse me. So yeah, Bernie Sanders on an international scale is not an extremist. Okay, it's only an idea like Medicare for all is only extremist in a country where neoliberal economics have prevailed. Okay, and that's what we live in. Well, honestly, I should not have just used the word prevail because that's not really what's going on here. What's going on here is the people are losing their trust in those neoliberal economic systems, okay? They're losing their trust in them. And I would actually venture so far to say they've lost their trust in them a long time ago, all right? So they turn to alternatives to the status quo. So why would you want to nominate a candidate who's going to represent the status quo like that? Just to get these like mythical moderate voters. Because if you look at, like, Bernie Sanders is the most popular senator in the country. Like, he's the most favored guy. The polling shows that he would have landslided Trump. And honestly, what I'm foreseeing in the future, when I'm feeling optimistic, is for him to do that in 2020 in an unprecedented way. Because if you look at all the polling data, if you're tuned in to the zeitgeist, you notice that, like, everyone wants that, other than the deceivers, the leaders and the paragons of the status quo. Those are the people who don't want the alternative systems. They're against Trump, but they're also against Bernie, okay? Let's not have any illusions about that. They don't like him. The whole system does not like him, but the people like him. We're running into so many things in our world are colliding right now, where it's like the people are trying to break out of the bottleneck of the corruption that's been intrinsically involved in the system for so long, okay? So it's like we're trying to push through that and defeat that. But the corruption mechanisms that exist inside the system are screwing us over on the way there. So it's like, is this possible? Is this not possible? It's a toss-up, to be honest. It's kind of a coin toss, really. Because it's like these forces seem to be equal, to be honest. Like, at least, I mean, we're fighting for the way things should be against the way things are. That's the other thing that's colliding. Idealism, in a radical sense, is colliding with realism in a radical sense, and they're clashing. Okay, this is a metaphysical conflict. This is our society changing. That's what we're witnessing in the 21st century, and I like it. I think it's interesting. I like breaking it down. I think I have some strong opinions about it that really deserve to be expressed, and I do not think we deserve another fucking measly, weak, centrist candidate for the 2020 election, because what will happen? Trump will smack them down. So, don't vote for Howard Schultz ever. Don't vote for Amy Cloudbootjar ever. Don't vote for Kirsten Gillibrand or Cory Booker or Kamala Harris. None of these people are your friends. None of these people like you. None of these people want things that will benefit you. None of these people give a fuck, okay? So let's really bring things into focus this year with this primary. Let's really get it all down. Let's really stand up and fight for what we believe in. Let's really do it, all right? Okay, guys? Let's really do it this time. And that's my take. So take it or leave it. There'll probably be another Abstract Thinking podcast tomorrow, so tune in to the channel for that. We do those live now, if you didn't know. So, yeah, I don't know what we'll talk about, but see you later, folks.